All right, hi, and welcome to today's episode of Rednecks Doing Things that they are not qualified to. So for today, we will be installing a heater on the XP General 1000. This is a 2022. Got our tools set up over there. Got the heater here. We're gonna do some unboxing. I've heard that the kids love to unbox stuff. You know, I don't know, my kids watch other kids open toys and play with them, so. Anyways, we're going to unbox this and take you through the process really quick and see what it takes. So I did check a bunch of options. We're going to need that on these. Polaris wanted $1,500 for theirs at my dealership. They also wanted $1,500 to install it. So I figured, what the heck, I'm cheap. I can do this myself. I can mess it up just as easy as they can for a fraction of the cost. So I paid about $450 for this kit. Looks like I got some air hoses. Looks like I got a couple coolant hoses here. They're gonna, looks like pretty easy, plug and play there. One thing is this has, looks like 4 vents for outlets. One thing I may try to do is, I did this on my other 4-seat Razor that I previously had, is instead of putting the 2 vents up front, I just used the defrost up front, and I actually ran the vents to the back. I just ran them through the hump in the center of the floor. So we will, got some vents here, some vents there. These are probably the defrosters. So we will look at the feasibility of that today. All in all, with all the parts I'm seeing, it's not looking honestly that crazy. So the one thing to note is I'm going to, as we do this, I will be draining my fluid and just changing it. I'm due for the 100-hour service, so for me it makes sense just to do it right now, drain all the fluid and put new in. So I do have Chero hiding out here with me. She'll probably drink whatever fluid we don't use. All right, so following along in the step 1, I'm going to need to remove this hood here. I think I'm gonna have to remove the window. I think I'm just gonna loosen the screws here, use a ratchet strap and hold it up, just because we have to remove this part of the dash. They also want us to pull off this door, which will just be the little bolts right there. You can see those a little better, as well as this XP panel. And honestly, in order to get to that, we're just gonna need to get this door off here and then remove these panels, or remove this. That's why you need to remove the door off, is to get this panel off, essentially.
There's all kinds of things like NSC and
all right, as far as hood removal goes, you're just gonna twist these, lift it off. If you need help with that, you probably shouldn't be undertaking this project by yourself. The next step, we're gonna be just in here. Got a 13mm socket. We're just loosening these. All right, the next thing you're gonna wanna do, I got this little pry tool. You can use a flathead, but go around and remove all of these things that are attached to the dash here, so that you can push the dash towards the inside of the cab. At least that's what the instructions are telling me here. And of course, on the driver's side, I'm gonna have to pull these bolts out so I can remove the fender. But I'm just gonna go through and start removing all these pins right now. So went ahead and pulled out this. So this is a T40, just for your information. The hinges were 13mm. I'm gonna go ahead and remove this to try to get this panel off as well. So I did end up removing this fender flare completely, just pulling out all the little plastic grommets in there, and just, I think one of them might have went through the frame right here, and that's what was kind of holding this on still. So As soon as I did that, this whole panel seems pretty loose, like it's gonna come right off here. Need to see if there's something holding. This seems like something's holding in here by this grill or something. I'll have to check that out. Probably another grommet in there. Oh, yep, right down there's one. Have to get that out as well. They're everywhere. They're everywhere. Now that I got that grommet out, this should just lift right off. Perfect. Just what we wanted. It looks like the way this dash is, it actually comes apart right here. So I pulled out 2 more of the rivets over here that I don't necessarily know I need to. It'll help me create a little gap there to slide that out. Because you can see this slides into that panel. But it looks like this, like they say, is just gonna slide to the inside. Voila, we're in like Flynn, but it is not coming to the inside super easy like it said. It does look like it is hitting the window. So at a minimum, I'm gonna have to loosen this and hinge this out to get it to come off. Alright, so I just went ahead and threw a ratchet strap on the window, hooked it to the thing on the back, and this is actually just going to slide straight out. Now we have access to all the goody goodies, and we can cut our defrost in the top of the dash here where it's going to be so beautiful. Alright, honestly, I'm just following the instructions here. So now they want you to loosen, not completely remove this panel. They're saying that, yeah, you're going to need to take these hose clamps off. So I'm going to go ahead and remove these screws, probably just take out these little clips and just try to slide it. They've just got it hinged forward. I'll go ahead and remove these air intake clamps, it said. So, okay, so I got my dash panel out. I did get this piece up and over. I did just take the clamps off of here, loosen it. Some of the wiring's still a little bit tight, like for the winch and other accessories I have. But you can see where things go in and out of the tunnel. Okay, as you can see, I have the dash out. The vents are gonna go like here. If you flip it over, there are these 2 places that are pretty easy to see where we're gonna cut. It said cut on the inside of this. I'm going to go ahead and get this over to the workbench. I'm going to use a multi-tool. We'll get this puppy ripped out and try to get those vents in here. Alright, once you get it trimmed out where you want it, I'm making sure that when I shut the louvers, I can aim it to like the side windows. If you have side windows, or when it's open, it's just fully on the window. I don't know that that matters a ton, but if you do have an fully enclosed cab, which I don't, but you know, some of you guys might, that's the way I'm choosing to install these. And then this should just all in one unit, just slide in, boom, there you go. Little clips pop out and hold it on the back and you are set. All right, we got all the venting installed. Next thing, we're just going to run the wires through the firewall here. You'll be able to see it on the inside. We're going to run it to the back of the switch, and we're going to go ahead and cut the switch out and install it right there. All right, we got the wire here, ran it through here, plugged it onto the switch inside, and then we just ran it along the top here and plugged it in. That was actually the easiest part. Now we're gonna drain. We're gonna unhook the hose here. That'll be where the return line comes. And then we're gonna cut it here to install the Y. All right, let's see how this goes. Maybe I should grab the funnel just in case this doesn't go as planned. All right, we're gonna install the supply line for the heater. It's actually gonna cut in to right here, so you'll be able to see it'll match up. It's right near your dipstick if you're trying to find it. It's on the passenger side, and I'm just gonna cut it in right here so it faces down. Oh yeah, bud. So we're following the directions. I've got this hose shoved from the front to the back, and then we're going to shove it through the firewall here. But I wanted to get this to the back. I ran it through on top of these air intake lines. I just pulled the cup holders out. That was the easiest way. Came straight through there. I'm going to zip tie it to those. And it came out the back here. Now we'll just be able to put this T on. We'll be set. I got one, but I'll need the two smaller ones. I wish I'd put that clamp on different. Not that it's a big deal, but it's just if it was on the bottom I could get to it in the future easier. All right, there she is installed. You can turn her on, you can turn her off. Actually, that way is on, this way is off, so we'll want it on to fill that. Honestly, the hardest part of this whole thing has been figuring out how to install and mount this. And honestly, it's just the pictures are not that great, but it's going to mount up in here, and you'll see there's a circle with the 4 little holes. I had a wire loom in there I undid. Metal. And then if you look from up here, you should be able to see there's another hole that can go down through, and it'll line up and you can get it through right there. And then there's your top and bottom supply and returns. So we're going to work on that, and then you'll drill a hole right there to mount it. All right, we got all of our ducts cut to the right length. We just shoved them through.
Return goes to the upper.
And they're just up in. We just started up here.
And the inlet goes to the lower,
So
way down to it.
Okay, so the return's on top. This will be the supply. I'm not going to cut this return. I'm just going to leave it because we can still pull it. So that supply needs to go in the bottom.
You need a clamp?
Nope, you got me clamps already.
Okay, good.
Boom. All right, right there, coming off. You can see it. We just teed that in right there. I'm gonna tighten up all the clamps now, and then we're set. Make sure that Y branch goes towards the front. Let's So this is the one thing I did that may be a little different than the instructions. I removed this panel, and that's obviously going to poke up a hair higher. I think I can push that down and get it in though. I'm not worried about it. I'm going to drill holes. Here's my ducts right now. I'm going to run a solid tube through here, and I'll show it to you. It'll come through there, and then I'm going to go right through the bottom of this glove box and put a false bottom in it. I'm going to come in, and then I'm going to have those two exit. I've pulled out the back because there's no reason to have a 4-seat and have the back be freezing cold. So when I come, all right, so she's in, she's working like a dream, like a dream. So the hardest part of this whole project was getting this heater box mounted. Honestly, getting that mounted, because there's not like a lot of clearance between that frame rail. So I did take the bracket off the heater, screw it to, there's like a circle up here with 4 holes in it, screw it to that, put the spacer down underneath, because without that spacer, you can't create a gap between this bar, as you see right here, the bar, and the heater. You can't create this gap, so you will never get it in. So the spacer needs to go down on this side and the screw from the top down. And then just looking at these, making sure they're like, and then you will be set. You can put the bracket on afterwards and you're good to go. I actually use silicone, and then I zip tied them because I don't want these to come off, and silicone actually dries super sticky like a glue, and you will be able to, it'll make sure those won't come off. Like I said, I got those 2 in. I'm going to run the other 2. I'm going to drill a hole here and run it back, drill it through here, run it back underneath the console, and I'll show you that when that's done tomorrow. Like I say, there's actually 2 holes, boom, boom, that you can see. So I'll stick, you know, some 2-inch tubing that I buy through there. Okay, I just finished this. So what I did, like I say, I wanted to get air to the back of mine. So I ran, these are actually vacuum hoses that I bought, and just a 1 7/8" rigid vacuum hose. You can see the ducts come up underneath and attach here. I got the 2 that go to the defrost, and probably what I'll do in the future right now is just I'll put a diverter here so I can do defrost or down on the floor up front. And then, but right now I've ran these ducts through, and it was pretty easy. I popped out the cup holders. Now I am going to lose a little bit of glove box space right here. I'm actually not too concerned about that. So what I've did is I've made a false bottom for that, and I'm going to go ahead and drop that in, and I'm going to actually just silicone around the edges. So actually, when that's in, you won't even notice that any of that's down there. And then they actually come, and the vents are right here. I actually pulled out like this stuff and just ran them through. Pulled out all the cup holders, used some hole saws and that multi-tool you saw. I actually used a little roto zip to cut some of the holes. It actually worked out super good, super easy. Let's give it a little crank here and see what the airflow's like. I had it running last night and I heated it up so you could see what the temperature got up to, and it waits for the thermostat to kick on before it'll actually heat. But man, it was awesome. So let's give that, it's hard to see that air, so we're gonna get a little, yeah, you can see that, it's like down here, boom. Woo, look at that. Yep. So yeah, these have a lot of good airflow. So it's the solution I found for getting it to the back. My kids ride back here, and you know, my wife, and so they don't want to be cold.